The weekend I was left alone at home was one I'd anticipated, with a mix of excitement and a tiny bit of nervousness. My parents had gone out of town, leaving me the house to myself. I had grand plans, movie marathons, indulging in way too much ice cream, and enjoying the freedom of having no one around to tell me to go to bed early. Little did I know, it was going to turn into one of the scariest experiences of my life. It was Saturday night. Well, technically Sunday morning, since it was around 2 a.m. There I was, curled up on the couch in a cozy blanket, lost in some forgettable movie, when an odd tapping sound pulled me back to reality. It came from the living room window. Initially, I brushed it off, blaming it on the wind or perhaps a tree branch. Our house is sort of nestled among trees, so it wouldn't have been a first. But then, the sound persisted, this time with a rhythm that seemed too intentional to ignore. I paused the movie, heart beginning to race as I listened closely. The moment I decided to investigate, the tapping ceased. Chalking it up to my imagination getting the best of me, I tried to refocus on the movie. But barely moments later, the tapping returned, louder and more desperate than before. Panic began to set in. With the movie now paused and the TV muted, I sat frozen, staring at the window, half expecting to see someone staring back. The darkness outside turned the window into a mirror, reflecting my scared expression. The tapping stopped once more when I stood up, a small relief that quickly evaporated as I realized I needed my phone, which I'd left charging in the kitchen. Creeping through the dark house, I felt like a character in one of those horror movies I was too chicken to watch. I grabbed my phone from the kitchen, heart pounding, and immediately called my best friend, whispering my ordeal to him. He tried to calm me down, suggesting it might just be some kids playing a prank. However, his words did little to ease my fear. As we spoke, a loud crash from the back of the house nearly made me drop the phone. My friend's voice became a distant buzz as I slowly approached the source of the noise, only to find the back door wide open. I remembered locking it earlier that evening. Panic surged as I whispered this new development to my friend, who insisted I hang up and call the police. Before I could, I heard it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps inside my house. Terror gripped me. Someone was actually inside. With my friend still on the line, I managed to whisper what was happening. He urged me to hide and stay quiet. I found a closet, squeezed myself into a corner, and hoped for invisibility. The intruder's movements echoed through the house, a constant reminder of my vulnerability. The wait for the police was agonizing, every second stretching into eternity. When they finally arrived, their sirens and shouts were the most comforting sounds I'd ever heard. I stayed hidden until an officer found me and assured me it was safe. The intruder was a local thief, caught thanks to the arriving officers.
It was just another Thursday night, and I was vegging out on the couch, binge-watching some crime show, the usual solo night in. Having recently moved out from my parents' place and starting an independent life, I relished the freedom of having the place to myself. Everything was chill until things got, well, weird. It started off like nothing, really. I glanced at the clock on the wall, and it read 11:23 p.m. Figured I'd watch one more episode before calling it a night. But here's where it gets freaky. I blinked. Just a regular blink, mind you. And when my eyes popped back open, the clock said 3:45 a.m. Just like that, over 4 hours gone. Poof. At first, I thought maybe I dozed off, but I didn't feel rested. If anything, I felt more drained, like I'd run a marathon in my sleep or something. Trying to shake off the confusion, I decided to get up, maybe splash some water on my face, wake myself up properly. But as I moved around, I started noticing things. Weird things. The living room was a mess. Cushions on the floor, books pulled out from the shelf, and here's the kicker, a glass of water on the coffee table, half drunk. Now, I live alone, and I sure as heck didn't remember making a mess or getting a glass of water. Thinking maybe I was sleepwalking or something, I began to feel uneasy. I'd never sleepwalked in my life, as far as I knew. Things got even stranger as I made my way to the kitchen. The fridge was open, a carton of milk left out on the counter, and a plate with a half-eaten sandwich. It was like someone had a midnight snack in my kitchen, but that someone wasn't me. Or was it freaked out? I started to question everything. Was I losing it? Had someone broken in and decided to make themselves at home? I checked all the doors and windows, locked, just like I left them. No signs of forced entry, nothing. So there I was, standing in my kitchen in the middle of the night, trying to piece together a puzzle that made zero sense. I decided to do a sweep of the entire house, half expecting to find someone hiding in a closet or under the bed, but nothing. Every room was just as I left it, except for those odd signs of activity. That's when I noticed the notepad on the kitchen counter. I always keep it there for grocery lists and stuff. But there was a message scrawled on it, in my handwriting. No less, don't forget to check the back door. The creepy part, I have no memory of writing that note. And the back door, it was locked, just like I remembered. Now, I'm not easily spooked, but this had me on edge. I felt like I was in one of those crime shows I'd been watching. Except there were no detectives to piece it all together for me. It was just me, alone, with a chunk of missing time and a bunch of unexplained happenings. I couldn't shake the feeling that something happened during those missing hours, something I couldn't remember. It was like a gap in my life, a blank space where anything could have taken place. And the evidence of my unseen activities only made it more unsettling. The next day, I set up a camera in the living room, half hoping to catch some logical explanation for everything. A logical explanation that never came. The footage showed me, getting up from the couch, moving around the house, doing all those things I had no memory of. It was me, but not me. Watching myself on that video, moving with purpose, yet completely unaware, sent shivers down my spine. I've since talked to a doctor, wondering if maybe there's some explanation. Sleep disorders, memory lapses, anything. Tests came back normal. So here I am, left with more questions than answers. Every night, I go to sleep wondering if I'll wake up with another chunk of time missing, another set of mysterious activities I can't recall. It's a strange feeling, not being able to trust your own mind, your own memories. It makes you question what's real and what's not. And the scariest part, not knowing if it'll happen again, or what I might do during those lost hours. It's like living with a stranger, myself.
I'm just your average girl, studying at college and sharing an apartment with my friend. She went to see her new boyfriend for the weekend, leaving me alone in the apartment. What's on the agenda? A whole lot of relaxation, maybe some Netflix, and catching up on my reading. Pretty sweet setup, right? So, it's Saturday, and I'm deep into this thriller novel. Stuff that keeps you on the edge of your seat, you know? I'm about to dive into another chapter when something weird catches my eye. Now, I've got this webcam perched on top of my monitor. Not unusual, but today, it's different. The little LED that usually lights up when it's on. It's glowing. But here's the kicker. I'm not using it. No Skype, no video recording, nothing that should make it light up like that. At first, I'm thinking, must be a glitch or something. But it's nagging at me, right? So I poke around my system settings and bam, it hits me. Webcam is in use. That's when the chill runs down my spine. Who's using it? For what? I ain't no tech wizard, but I'm savvy enough to check for the usual suspects like malware. Everything comes back clean. That's when it dawns on me. I've seen those videos about hackers spying on folks through their webcams. Could that be happening to me? Just the thought had me all kinds of freaked out. Deciding not to take any chances, I slap a piece of tape over the webcam. But I still can't shake this feeling of being watched. It's like, even with the webcam covered, someone's eyes are on me. Trying to ignore it, I jump back into my book, hoping to forget about the whole thing. Fast forward to later that night. I'm grabbing a snack from the kitchen when something odd catches my attention. It's not a glowing light this time, no. It's something much sneakier. There's this tiny camera, cleverly hidden in the vent above my bookcase. Looks just like a normal air vent, but there it is, staring me right in the face. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I start searching the whole apartment. It's like a nightmare, finding more of these hidden cameras in the weirdest places. One's in the smoke detector in the hall, another's tucked away in the bathroom. Who does that? The realization hits me like a ton of bricks. My safe haven, my private space. It's been invaded. Someone's been watching me live my life, seeing everything I do. All those moments I thought were just between me and the four walls. They could have been seen by someone else. I'm trying to process all this, right? How long has this been going on? Is it someone I know? The idea that it might be some random creep is terrifying, but the thought that it could be someone familiar, that's even worse. I gather all these cameras, putting them in a box. I need evidence, something solid for the cops. But more than that, I need answers. Who's behind this? Why me? That night, sleep's pretty much a no-go. Every little sound has me on edge, and my mind's racing with all the what-ifs. By morning, I'm a wreck. I know I can't deal with this on my own anymore. It's time to get the police involved. When they show up, I lay it all out for them. The cameras, the feeling of being watched, everything. They take me seriously, thank God, and start their investigation. They're asking all these questions, trying to piece together who could have done this. Who had access to my place? Had I noticed anything strange lately? It's a lot to take in. I can't stay in that apartment, not with all these memories of being watched. I crash at a friend's place, trying to keep it together. My online world, once a refuge, now feels like just another place I'm vulnerable. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if someone's still out there, keeping tabs on me. The investigation turns up some leads, tracing back to some sketchy online seller known for this kind of spy gear. From there, they manage to track down the buyer, a name I don't recognize at first. Turns out, it's the ex of my friend who previously lived in the apartment. This guy, unable to move on from their breakup, decided if he couldn't have her, he'd settle for invading the privacy of whoever took over her space. My space. The cops eventually catch the guy, but the damage is done. My sense of security? Shattered.